I'm going to start this video by saying that there's going to be spoilers from True Detective Season 1. The first season is nearly 10 years old now, but I don't want to annoy anybody, so I've got in there straight away with this warning. With only one episode left of True Detective Season 4 and it not being that long until we find out who's behind the killing of Annie K and also the researchers that were killed, it's got me feeling all sentimental about True Detective Season 1, and the feeling that I had as we were watching the development of the case of Dora Lang coming to a close and it being revealed during the penultimate episode that Errol Childress was the person behind the horrific killings that we saw taking place and had been driving Rust Cohle to the point of insanity. I retouched Season 1 a couple of weeks back where I dived into the mind of Rust, and I felt like I couldn't not touch on the horrific killer that was Errol Childress, delve into his history, his motives, and discuss why I feel the show managed to pull off pure evil whilst not really showing the killer until the last possible moment. So let's jump into this video, get inside the world of the Yellow King cult, if you dare, and look at the horrific crimes of Errol Childress. Let's start with Errol Childress's motives. One of the most haunting things about Childress is the reason as to why he carried out all of the killings from 1995 all the way up until 2012, spanning an almost 20-year time period. In many TV shows and movies, there are often different motives that killers tend to have. They could be motivated by love, hate, or sexually. These are ordinarily the three main reasons, and whilst it seems like these killings could have been pinned down to being sexually motivated, there was something far deeper that lay within Childress's mind, which was the reason why he went on a killing spree. Childress was part of the Yellow King and Tuttle cult, which carried out their killings in the name of Hasta as part of a ritualistic process of giving the Yellow King sacrifices as part of their worship. This was something which went on for decades amongst the Tuttle family all throughout Louisiana. But with Errol being the only real surviving member of the Tuttle family by 2012 and his former associates like Ledoux no longer being around, he was now just acting on his own with his beliefs because they were ingrained within him to his core, showing that even though the cult may no longer have been what it once was, he still believed and wanted to cause terror in the name of Hasta. Errol Childress knew no difference in his life, as he was born to Ted Childress, who was the son of a marital affair between Sam Tuttle, who's believed to have once been the leader of the cult, and an unnamed woman. Childress's childhood was one where he was abused, most likely by his father, and he may well have fallen victim to some acts which the cult carried out. He said the line, "Do you want to know what they did to me? What I will do to all the sons and daughters of man." This showed that what he was doing to others is very much what could have been done to him when he was younger. This is what also most likely gave him the memorable scars that were on his face, and where he learned to do all of the horrific things that he would later go on to do to Dora Lang and the many other women and children that went missing. The fact that Childress killed and tortured was horrific enough, but finding out that he used the disaster which was Hurricane Katrina to his advantage in order to kidnap and kill as there were less suspicions raised about missing people during that time was a disgusting thing to hear. Showing that he didn't only kill for the purpose of sacrificing, but there was a sense of planning and enjoyment in it, showing a different motive behind his actions, and that he saw the fun and games in what he was doing. If Errol was never caught, he's somebody that would have most definitely continued to have killed all throughout the future, until he was eventually caught. He killed for nearly 20 years, so there was no chance that he would have stopped willingly. The look that he gave the young boy when painting in the school showed that he could well have been the next victim, as he may have had him in mind. How the show perfected Childress. What made Errol Childress a phenomenal antagonist in the first season of the show is that even though he is the main villain that plagued the mind of Rust and Marty, we only ever saw him on 3 different occasions, and he probably had a combined screen time of a matter of minutes. The first time we saw him was at the end of episode 3, where he appeared for around 2 minutes. The next was in the penultimate episode, where he appeared for about 1.5 minutes, and then he also appeared in the finale where he had a larger involvement. The show made us fear this person that was out there for 7 of the 8 episodes by drip-feeding us haunting names that he would often be referred to as, making him a complete mystery to us and giving him a supernatural edge, allowing our mind to imagine what this sadistic killer looked like. This naturally made us lean into an image which connected to the ritualistic killings that were taking place. For example, he was known as the Man with the Scars, the Green-Eared Spaghetti Monster, and the Creature in the Tall Grass. These were all names which were paired with haunting stories of him. Somebody being called a monster and a creature showed how when people saw him, they didn't see him as human. And those descriptions made our mind, which is often the most dangerous place to imagine something when there's no image, as it meant that it would go to every corner and just imagine what this monster was like. So by keeping us on our toes and imagining a creature, because that's what somebody who was doing something that this evil was, it made us feel just as much a part of the show as Rust and Marty, because we were almost imagining what they were imagining. You'd think that by making us imagine a killer that wasn't even being referred to as human would be something which would be so hard to stick the landing of, but True Detective succeeded in every aspect when showing us Errol. Childress was human, but he didn't live like a human. He lived like an animal, and he didn't have a belief system like regular people did. His house was a mess, he was in a relationship with his half-sister, and he kept his dead father tied up in a room and spoke to him. That in itself was the perfect way to truly introduce the character. He was subhuman, a creature and a monster, and we perceived him to be all of those things that he was described as the moment that we laid eyes on him and actually spent time with him during the finale. One other way that the show perfected Childress is something which tied into not truly knowing who the killer was, is the fact that all we ever saw was the remnants of the acts that he committed. The way that Dora Lang was left in season 1, and it not just being a killing or a murder that was committed, but it being a display piece, was chilling. It automatically made us wonder what this killer was like and the type of mindset that they had. The fact that the spiral symbol was present, the devil catchers were present, and the paintings that would often appear at locations, it just made the thought of the killer far more haunting because there was this sinister edge to them, making us feel extremely uncomfortable. The crimes that Errol committed. In terms of the crimes that Childress committed, it's actually unknown the amounts of deaths that were caused because of him. However, when Rust was following him through the maze, there were 3 skulls that were present, plus other bones. As well as that, we know that he was responsible for the killing in 2012, the killing of Dora Lang, his father, and he could have potentially been present during the killing of Marie Fontenot. So that's at least 7. With there being children that were constantly going missing throughout the state, and it also being said that he utilized the fact that people went missing during Hurricane Katrina to his advantage, it's truly unknown the amount of people that he killed. But it's definitely a lot. There may have been people that he abused and didn't kill, showing that there's no true way of knowing the reach of his crimes, as the cult were responsible for so much damage during that time period. True Detective Season 1 is an 8-episode run of a show that I don't think will ever be beaten by a season that it creates again under the same name. It was genuinely perfect. From the character development, to the storytelling, to the way that it made us utilize our own mind to be able to create the sense of dread and fear. And also the way that it portrayed Errol Childress to us. He's a villain and antagonist like no other. His acts were at the core of the show for so long, but went unseen by not only the detectives, but by us as well. With a screen time that was surprisingly short, there's not many shows that I feel could pull that off, but this one managed to do so, and it thrived in doing that. Childress was haunting, evil, broken, and a monster and creature that was subhuman. Glenn Flesher did a great job at playing him in the short time that he had on screen, and I don't think there will be a better depiction of pure evil in True Detective again. So, there you have it. If you want to see more videos on True Detective, then click on the card in the top corner. I've been covering the entirety of Season 4, so if you want to give that a watch, it's up in the corner or it's over on the channel as well. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. Do you think Season 1 is the best season of True Detective? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.